Good morning. During the 10 years between 2008 and 2018 makes it a decade. And I'm finding the directors who made plays at the Old Town Playhouse in Traverse City, Michigan, and giving them a memory in a video for their family members, children, and especially to them, so they can look back standing on their theater stage. And this time is Director Debbie Hershey. Good morning. I had the opportunity to interview Director Debbie Hershey for the play 12 Angry Men. It was produced in January 16 at the Old Town Playhouse in Traverse City, Michigan. There have been 187,854 video views on YouTube, seen since the year of 2016 on the whole documentary video. And it was a masterpiece of theater. And Director Debbie Hershey was absolutely fabulous by making everything in place.
point, I would like to introduce our esteemed director, Deb Hershey, who is the mastermind of this entire production. And I must say that her vision in the long run has been spot on and very compelling, which of course led to several of us who've had directing experience ourselves taking issue with some of the decisions that she made in the development of this production. But Deb has had the last laugh. I totally respect her decisions, and especially right up to the very final moment of the play, she has produced a mental image that is very unique, original, and something that people who come to see this play will not forget for a long time. So here's Debbie Hershey.
Hi, I'm Debbie Hershey, and I'm the director of 12 Angry Men that we are presenting at the Old Town Playhouse in Traverse City, Michigan. 12 Angry Men is an iconic American piece of writing about an American situation, and that is a jury of 12 anonymous people and what they do at the conclusion of a criminal trial when they enter the jury room. So from a community theater perspective, from the very beginning, we wanted to cast 12 men. But as people in community theater know, sometimes it's difficult to have men come to auditions. So if I was giving advice to someone who was going to be directing or producing 12 Angry Men, I can only tell you that we spent many weeks on the phone, emailing, calling, and writing lots of different male actors in the area, asking them to come to auditions. And that turned out to be successful. We had about 38 people audition for the play, which is a lot of people for a straight drama. Now, we weren't sure how many men were going to come to auditions, so we did open the auditions up to women. And we had a fair number of women who did come to auditions. But Reginald Rose's script, which is about a jury in 1957, is just a very uniquely written script for men. And it was very difficult to figure out where on earth we would actually cast women, because the dialogue is very male-driven and the action is very male-driven. So fortunately, we did not have to face that situation, but I can say that if we were to have faced that situation, we were considering making juror number 8 a woman, because juror number 8 is one of the more logical, even-keeled characters. The other character that we considered being a woman was juror number 2, the shyer, meeker person. Not that I want to suggest that women are meek, but women in 1957 probably would not have been terribly forceful and certainly wouldn't have been threatening to hit a male, which is several times in the script. So that was the audition process. And as far as the production process went, I had the good fortune to surround myself with a very experienced production team, and everyone shared in the vision of 12 Men to keep the play set in 1957 and to have the set reflect what the script suggested, that it was a beaten up jury room. And we really wanted that from the very beginning. And we did look online at several professional productions of 12 Angry Men, and we saw a lot of really beautiful jury rooms. And we just felt that a New York criminal court in 1957, in the heat of the summer, would be beaten up. And we were very fortunate to have a professional set designer contact us, who has done some work here at the Playhouse. His name is Matt McCormick. He's a very talented person, and he shared in that vision right away. So our set really does look like a beaten up, well-used jury room. Another thing that we were very determined to have was actual water on the stage in 2 places, one in the sink and one when it rains. So in Act 2 of the script, a storm plays a very pivotal part of the story. And we were determined that we were going to have it rain on stage, and we have an engineer involved in the production, Bill Hershey, who happens to be my husband, and he built a very intricate rain machine so that it could rain on stage. And he also created a pumping system that can pump water into the sink, so we have water. And so far, audience members have been very thrilled to see it rain on stage, so that's something that's worked out very well for us too.
But I still think the boy is guilty of murder, and I have two reasons. One, the evidence given by the woman across the street who actually saw the murder committed.
And how, brother? As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony in the whole case.
And two, the fact that she described the stabbing by saying she saw the boy raise his arm over his head and plunge the knife down into his father's chest. She saw him do it the wrong way.
That's right. It's absolutely right.
Now let's talk about this woman for a minute. She says she went to bed at 11 o'clock that night. Her bed is next to the window, and she could look out by lying down and see directly into the boy's window across the tracks. Now, she tossed and turned for about an hour, unable to sleep. Finally, she turned over and looked out the window at about 10 minutes after 12 and saw the killing through the windows of a passing L train. Now, she says that the lights went out immediately after the killing, but that she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father. She saw him do it. Now, as far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the whole case.
Well, what do you think?
As far as other types of challenges with mounting a production of 12 Angry Men, it's like any other play, is helping the actors to form very real and very distinct characters. The 12 men are somewhat described by Reginald Rose in the script, but they're not very well defined, and so we did a lot of character work with our 12 actors. And one thing that I insisted on was that they remain anonymous to one another. So that is another very important part of the script, is the concept of anonymity. So everyone involved in the play has no name. The jurors are known by numbers or as a foreman, and the defendant is known as the defendant. The prosecutor is known as the prosecutor. No one has a name. But of course, our 12 actors created very intricate character backstories, and yes, they did have names and very complete stories, which they shared with the directing team, but did not share with one another. So even we opened last night, and they still do not know the backstory of each other's character, but they have brought out in their acting their backstories quite well, and it's been really fun to watch the other actors, or the actors react to one another as some of this backstory is starting to creep out. And we've promised each other that on closing night we will share the complete backstories of one another. But even at rehearsal, we did not call each other by names. So I was director, and everybody was only known by their number. And I think that really helped to keep that feeling of anonymity going on stage. One of the main challenges in directing such an iconic piece of literature that is so well known as a movie is bringing it to life on stage. Many people questioned me as a director of how we were going to make this interesting, since everybody knows the movie, everybody knows the outcome, and what would we do to make it different from a movie. And all I can say about that from what we've been hearing today, because our opening night was last night, is when you mount this production on stage, it feels more personal. It feels as though, as an audience member, you are actually in the jury room with them. And the several challenges were creating this feeling of stifling heat. The actors really have to pay close attention to that, because it's supposed to be 100 degrees outside with 100% humidity, We know that the fan does not work. There's no air conditioning in 1957. There are 3 windows in our set, and one of them stuck shut, so they can only open 2 windows. And in Act 2, a summer storm comes along, and as we all know, when you're in a very hot situation in the summer and a storm comes along, it sometimes actually makes it hotter, stickier, very high humidity. So the actors have to pay close attention in their stage business to remember to show the audience how hot it is, and to do it in different ways. You know, what I kept saying to them was, I don't want to see 12 people going like this all the time. So they had to work really hard on how would they show how uncomfortable they are.
You come in here with your sanctimonious talk about slum kids and injustice, and you start making up a bunch of stories, and maybe you start getting through to some of these old ladies in here. But you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. What's the matter with you people, huh? Every one of you in here knows this kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
Well, I'm one of them.
Well, maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
Now, for this kid, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Listen, don't you start with me now.
Ever since you walked in here, you've been behaving like some self-appointed public avenger.
I'm telling you, shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts.
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Son of a bitch. Shut up. God damn it, like that. Kill him. Kill him.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
So that manifested itself in many ways. It was one of the reasons why we wanted to have real water in the sink, so they can go to the sink and wet their face, they can roll up their sleeves, they can loosen their ties. There's a lot of different things that they are all doing, and it's still evolving. So that, and really a personal challenge for this particular production was we put together very veteran actors, but with very inexperienced actors. So we have 13 actors, and out of the 13 of them, 5 have little to no experience. So what that meant for me as a director was to work with those 5 outside of rehearsals. And the types of things we worked on were a lot to do with their speech, not swallowing word endings, knowing how to support your speaking with breathing properly through the diaphragm, what to do with your hands, what to do with your face, and a lot of work on character.
Pretty good guess. Anyone else?
Well, that sounds like to me. Come on, what's this guessing game for?
What would you say?
10 seconds, approximately.
All right, say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
You didn't have to work so much with the veteran actors because many of these guys have been on stage for years, and I did create a character background sheet that I handed out to everybody. I didn't collect it, I didn't read what they wrote, but to give them something to work from, and they seem to appreciate that quite a bit. I think another, challenge somewhat is our team, our production team was very female, and our actors were all male. And so that created a very interesting dynamic, and we set a tone very early on of respectfulness to the production team and respectfulness to one another. And I can say that, all of us who've been in theater for a long time, we know that there are some productions where people get along and there's some productions where people don't get along. And every once in a while, you come across a production where the entire team, from the production team to the set building crew to the actors, all want to work together to make something special happen. And we went into this with that expectation. And we discussed it right up front, and that's exactly what happened. This has been a relatively drama-free production where everyone's gotten along very well. And I just personally believe when that's the case, it shows on stage. And you can tell that the actors are really supporting one another, and no one wants to stand out over someone else. and they were supporting each other through the rehearsal period, and now are supporting each other in the production. And it's a really beautiful thing to see.
Good afternoon. I love discovering the backstage stories behind stage productions. Company was supposed to be known by the world as Threes, but whoever came up with the bright title of Company should be applauded. Its conception came from the imagination or lifetime experiences of playwright George Furth, who had written 11 one-act plays, and for a period of time he was only lingering around and looking for a theater to produce at it. I can identify with that very lonesome feeling, having written a 2-act play in 1991 titled The Servant's Ring.
Go, Isn't it